Thank you so much. All right, this is Yusuf. What happened? What is Yusuf? He's like disappeared. You can see him there. Let me flip the screen right here real quick. Come on, there you go. All right, folks, this is Yusuf. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? So this is a WordPress Meetup for San Antonio WordPress Meetup group, and we usually do like a WordPress Wednesday at the end of every week. We have to show you tonight. So for that, I want to also apologize that I'm not be able to engage with you guys. So please watch the video and learn something new. And that's it. All right. So if you guys think this is awesome, at the middle of the show, you can give some hearts. You can also swipe on the left and share this event. Mike is rubbing. Okay. See? Quick feedback. What now? Can you hear me? There's no more static, guys.
So
all right, cool.
Do you have tuned in right now, you said?
Right now we have probably like 11. They're gonna come.
Okay. So about a dozen people are already tuned in. So our reach has already gone beyond just where we are right here with our little group. Now we have another dozen or so people tuning in right now watching.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna flip the screen. This is gonna be a video. We're gonna play a video by Corey Ashton, the amazing Corey Ashton, right there.
Silly.
There you go. Say hi. Okay. So she visit her website, Webtegrity, like integrity, webtegrity.com. That's her company. So she created 4 videos on WordPress. No, just it works only with Twitter. Okay. So we're gonna play those videos right now on the screen. And if y'all have any question, just keep commenting. I'll respond to that later. All right, y'all excited? Ready? Okay, here you go. All right, so there you go. The first video. This is going to be about how to style your Gravity forms, part 2. Okay.
And the darn microphone. All right, we're going to continue our series on Gravity forms. I've already done a basic install and basic, how to add a field. We're going to go even more advanced today. We're going to talk specifically about how to style your Gravity forms, because out of the box it looks nice, but your theme could apply some weird wonkiness effects to it, and you have some potential to really kind of get fancy with it and set it up in a better flow. So we're going to talk really briefly about my awesome sponsors that I have sitting here. We've got, of course, our amazing partner in hosting is WP Engine. They offer incredible WordPress hosting. We've got WP Elevation. If you're an entrepreneur using WordPress as a freelancer or in your business, please check out their tracks. You're going to get inspired and find some really cool resources for you. And of course, WP 101. You've got more WordPress tutorial videos, so you've got to get over there and check them out. They're amazing. All right, let's talk about it. Gravity forms. Let's see. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so we're talking about Gravity forms, all right? And we're moving on now to the second video in our series of 6. I'm going to do 6 videos. It's crazy. We're going to talk next about how to set up all of your notifications with some really cool dynamic stuff. After that, we're going to be talking about conditional logic. That's cool. We're going to go into add-ons and talk about all the different options that you can, for free, throw in some add-ons. And then we're also going to talk about how to use it as some sort of a very minimal style store, or potentially even a registration form, something comparable to like Eventbrite. You guys could be using that here and not losing all those fees. You can actually be using Gravity forms to do stuff like that. So stick around. Be sure to click the subscribe button right down here so that you're able to catch all these videos every single week. All right, moving into styling. How do we do it? Last video, one of the things I didn't show you is if you needed to reorder these, all you simply do is grab and drag and drop them, right? So that's a little bit of styling where you can grab and drag and drop. Each individual field has options. You just click on your little arrow, open it up, and you can see some of the different options. There's even an appearance tab where you can place different things. If you hover over these little question marks, they'll give you a little bit more involved description of what this particular input field or option has available to you, okay? So I'm going to show you what this form looks like on our website. You'll see here a name, first name, last name, company name, title, email, phone. So let's go here. You're going to see first name, last name, company name, your title, email, and phone. I'm going to slide off screen so you can see this full width area. I do have the style of my page set to full width, so you can see this form is really kind of ginormous, and we know, let me click a refresh here because has, let's do this, refresh. Actually, yeah, so company name is sitting across here, full width. It's kind of ridiculous. Hopefully nobody's company name is that ginorma. And then you've got your title, which is huge as well. What if we wanted to style these where potentially company name would take up the same space as first, and maybe we could bring your title up here and have it in kind of a 2-column setting, just like first and last name? How would we be able to do that? That's actually something out of the box you can adjust with Gravity Forms. So it's just kind of extra that if you didn't know, or you didn't do a whole lot of research, or you didn't know what to even call it, you probably wouldn't be able to find it. It's a little tricky, so I'm going to walk you through that. So I want company name to be on the left side of the screen, and then I want your title to slide up here and be sitting on the right side of the screen, right? So how do we make that happen? I am going to open this up, and I'm going to go to Appearance. I'm going to go to this Custom CSS class, okay? This is something that if you already know how to write nerd code in CSS and you really wanted to give this form a completely different look, a background color, or maybe this particular field right here, this company name, you wanted to give it some sort of standout pop color or anything you wanted to do to it, if you know how to write nerd code, you could manually go into your style sheet, write that nerd code, and then assign the class here. But Gravity Forms actually has things assigned already. You just might not know about them, right? So we're going to say GF for Gravity Form, and we're going to say left half. You see what I'm typing in there? GF for Gravity Form, the underscore, the word left, underscore, the word half. I'm going to zip that box back up. I'm going to come here to your title. Now this one, under Appearance, I want it to go on the right side, correct? So I'm going to say GF for Gravity Forms, and I'm going to assign right, underscore, half, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and click Update Form, slide off the screen here for you, come back to the front side of our website. I'm going to click Refresh, and now our company name is sitting here nice on the left side. Your title is sitting here perfectly on the right side with a nice little description below it, but I think this kind of opens up too much of a gap. So what if we were to put it, well, you could put it above or below. It's up to you, or we can just remove it completely, right? So those options would be individually right here in this space. I typed that part in, so we can either remove it, or if you wanted to put it above, you can choose the option for above inputs, and it would place it directly above the input area. All right, pretty cool there, I know. So let's talk about what if we wanted to have a totally different color, or maybe we want to put a background color, like I was saying earlier, and you don't know. What if you don't know CSS? So how do you make that happen? There are actually all sorts of options for styling your Gravity Forms. Over in a premium version, over here on Code Canyon, you can go through here and see all the different options, add-ons for Gravity Forms. One of the first ones that I found that I liked was this Gravity Form Styler. It is a little pricey, it's 33 bucks, but apparently it does some really cool stuff. They've got a video preview here that you can click on and see exactly what all it does. But you can see that you can do all sorts of changes just with a drag and drop environment, and you don't necessarily have to have coding capabilities, and you're able to change the color of text fields, the color of the background, how wide the boxes are, if they have a border around them, the font, all sorts of funness. So you can kind of play around with that for 33 bucks, or just kind of sift through here with Code Canyon and see what all is available for add-ons. There's also, of course, free options. You can go through the plugin directory and see all the different add-ons. The only thing that's really costly initially is that first purchase of Gravity Forms, because it's a premium plugin, right? So if you're wondering how to make more column options and do other things that I've already mentioned in this tutorial, I'm going to put a link in the description box below. There's this page here. Let me back up one link, and I'll put both of these links in the description box below. Gravity Forms has some pretty great documentation. Let me slide down just a little bit here. You'll see it on their website. You can come here and you want to click CSS Ready Classes. Clicking that link takes you into all sorts of examples of what you can be adding into this custom filled class area. So it gives you your left half, your right half, that's for 2 columns. It gives you the option to do a middle third so that you can have 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, and section things out that way. You can make them go in line, so you can use this and kind of see what that plays around with. All sorts of different options here. So I mean, this lines them up beautifully here for a 3-column list. That's beautiful. You can do all sorts of fun stuff like that with these pre-made classes, okay? So I'm going to put that link in the description box below. The other thing I want to tell you before I let you go is one other setting that if you miss this, this could actually have errors on your website or potential breaks. So once you've already created your form and you see it on the front side of your website, if it looks a little wonky or things aren't really looking exactly the way you want them to, you could come to a test and see there's a settings area underneath forms. Go to settings. This is not for the individual forms. So let me back up for a second. Under every form you have a settings. I don't want you to go to individual forms. I need you to go to the super settings area here that affects all of your Gravity forms at once, okay? If you go to the settings area, I want you to see about this area right here. It says output CSS and output HTML5. You might want to just play around with these two settings. Set one to no, go down and click save, and then refresh your page. I'm going to do that right now just to let you see. It kind of goes wonky and it actually starts adding bullet points, which is like an ordered list to my form. So if your form looks like this and you're thinking, oh man, that looks horribly wrong, maybe you need to go into your settings here and check yes and allow the output CSS to be there. All right, so that gives y'all some ideas of what you can do with Gravity forms right there. Any questions on what y'all just saw? I know nobody's currently using it yet, so I don't want to bore y'all to tears tonight. I want you to get what you came here for and feel like you had good substance. So any questions on what you just saw there? No? We good? We good? All right. Let's do a vote really quickly. Yusuf, you can trump me on this vote, but I'm thinking if everybody just wants to maybe get the links to go watch more Gravity forms later, maybe now we can move on to what's new with Billy 4.3 and maybe our div classes. Y'all want to do that?
One question about this.
Sure.
If you're using WordPress Contact 7,
Yep.
and you have the data from there, and using Flamingo that goes with that, can I take the data from there and import it to Gravity forms, or
Yeah.
not use that data?
So great question. For those of you out on Periscope, we've just been asked if you are using Contact Form 7, can you import-export your all your contact information that you may have gathered there into Gravity forms? So to answer that question, I'm not exactly sure. I have seen an import-export option on Gravity forms, but I've never actually tried to grab another database and install it into Gravity forms. The leads, right? You're saying your forms have already been filled out and maybe you want to grab email addresses and so forth. Yeah, what I would do there is probably just go ahead and export your contact list into like a Constant Contacts or a MailChimp just to have it, and then switch out and start moving forward with Gravity forms. But what Gravity forms will do for you is they collect an entire database of all of your forms that have been filled out. So let's say your email breaks and you're thinking, I'm not getting any leads today. You can actually just go into your website and you'll be able to see the entire list of anything that's been filled out for the day. So you're not missing any opportunities. You're not getting the emails, okay? So it's kind of a safety net for you there. Then there's another really cool statistic inside of Gravity forms. They show you how many times your form has been viewed versus how many times your form has been filled out.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
This is that's money in your pocket right there, because what's happening now, when you get a statistic that says your form has been viewed 1,327 times and it's only been filled out 15,
something's wrong with your
something's
form.
seriously wrong with your form, or the marketing or the spiel around your form, right?
Right.
You could potentially be giving somebody what's called form fear,
Yep.
right? They go freak out, don't want to click submit, I think it's too much information, they're moving on. So gathering statistics like that alone makes Gravity forms worth its weight in gold. Yeah, and you can do an export out of Gravity forms. I have done that in the past, and export. And one of their free add-ons, if you get the $99 or more, is a direct dump into your MailChimp or your Constant Contact. So directly from your website, it's going immediately out to your list, and you can start drip email marketing if you wanted to. They actually have quite a few free add-ons. Zapier is one of their add-ons, which is a if this happens, then do that. Has anybody ever used that? I've used it before. It's pretty fantastic. It's spelled Z-A-P-I-E-R, and it's literally just like an application that if this happens on my website, then I want this to happen. So if somebody sends me a file, I immediately want it to go to my Dropbox and alert my team. And you can set those things up, and you can get a set amount, what they call zaps. You can get a set amount of free zaps per month. So it is a free application initially. I've used it because we use Basecamp. I've used it if a client sends a support email to my team, it immediately creates a to-do list inside of my Basecamp application for my team to be able to check off And so I use it more like a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, totally for free. So it's a really cool project, and all of that is all inside of Gravity Forms as well. So it's really, really spectacular. I could literally do like tutorials all day long on this one little cheese ball premium plugin.
So it's kind of like one stone, 20 birds.
Yeah, it really truly can be. If you just need a simple contact form, do not purchase this. There's no reason to. Unless you wanted to know how many times it's being viewed versus how many times it's being filled out, which if you did a little backtracking, you could probably manage that by setting up goals inside of Google Analytics for free, right? We could put a goal that when that page is reached, we receive an alert that that page has been seen, and then we know how many leads we've gotten for the month. So you could do it that way, but it's really nice to just see the numbers right there on the screen every single time you log into your WordPress dashboard. If you just need a simple contact form that says your email, your name, and your message, contact form 7. Betty swears by it.
It works.
It works great. Way to go.
But no, I am not asking too much.
Right. Just something simple, right? Something simple that works. And you can set up autoresponders with it. Absolutely. One of the things you can set up inside of Gravity Forms is if you want it to be addressed to them personally. Let's say you have a field for their first name. You can put in the autoresponder back to dynamically place in their first name. Let's say that they've just purchased a product off of your Gravity Forms. You can put in there exactly what product they just purchased, and that will automatically go back. It just makes you look a little bit more legit, right? Go ahead.
Does it have hidden form fields?
Yes. It also has dynamic form fields. So if you were to say if and then, so it's got conditional logic. It's extremely robust. It also has conditional logic in the sense of if somebody selects they need support from my team versus sales, it'll go to this person for support, or it'll go to that person for sales. So it's really, truly spectacular. If you need to set up something where they got an autoresponder with a PDF file in it, you can set all that up in place, have the attachment right there, and it automatically goes out to them. You never have to touch it. So really, truly a spectacular plugin for the price point. But do remember that you have to purchase that plugin every single year because you want support on it. Okay?
One site only.
So $39 is for one site only. And then I believe $99 gets you 10 sites, and then $199 gets you unlimited. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. I know $39 and $199. I don't know what the middle one gets you for 99 bucks, but definitely check it out. So the next video I done was for notifications. This is how to set up notifications for who gets what. I'm not going to bore you with that. If you're interested in it, go watch that. That's on our Meetup group. The link is there. And then we're moving on to how to create div classes. So who in here already feels comfortable writing a little bit of nerd code? Okay, got a couple brave beings. Who in here says, what the heck is a div class? Yeah? Okay. So this truly is one of our typical goers here. His name is Ralph. Most of us know Ralph. He's pretty fantastic. He's probably one of Yusuf and mine's biggest evangelists, always bragging about our classes and what we do. He's constantly posting for us on Twitter and Google+, and we're really appreciative for that. He asked me, he sent me some ideas one day in an email and said, how about these 6 topics? Brilliant. This is one of his topics. He was asking, you know, you and Yusuf talk all the time about nerd code, but you guys never really slow down for a minute and try to help us in the beginner level. I'm about to explain to you exactly what a div class is. And you're really hopefully going to be able to take a moment and go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's just really, really simple. So we'll watch this one all the way through. And if you have any questions, just try to jot them down really quickly because we'll try to get through the whole video and then come back and answer any questions that you might have. If y'all have questions on Scope, Periscope over here, post them. My name is Corey Ashton here at Web Integrity and Santa. Play around with some of your own. Let's get past the spiel here. Their support is. I'm bragging on these guys. So I'm actually for WordPress. Here we go. Next level. Here we go. Here we go. You ready to learn some nerd code? I'm going to shrink down so that y'all can kind of check this stuff out. All right, let's see. So I'm actually over in an environment that you can go to right now. I'll put the link in the description box below in case you can't check this out. But this is where you'd go. Watch this. So it's just codepen.io. Okay, I'm going to click enter. It's going to ask me, are you sure you want to leave? It comes here, and what I want you to do is just click New Pen. All right, up here at the top, click New Pen. And they've got a couple of different layouts. Let's see if I can show you this. Slide up here. I can't show you. At the very, very bottom of the screen, they've got a few icons down here in the bottom corner of the screen, right down here, okay? You can choose your layout. This is the layout I like, and then we don't need JavaScript right now, so we're just going to stay here in HTML and CSS for the time being, okay? I'm going to teach you what a div class is. All right. You know how whenever you start your WordPress website, a lot of times it just says, hello world, right? And this is my text happening right over here. HTML, all HTML is text intermingled with a little bit of nerd code, which is the actual HTML, that gives it structure. All right? That's all it is. So I want you to think of a div class, and if you understand what I'm saying right now, it's this div. It's a div class. I want you to think of a div class. It's just a box. That's all it is. And it can be any shape you want. It's just a container. So whatever content you want inside that container, you can assign different styles to, different font size to, different color background. You can do whatever you want to inside of that container. All right? This is like a shipping container. We're going to put everything inside of that box, right? And then on the outside of that box, we're going to say whatever label we want to address. And that's how we know how to affect it inside of the CSS. You following me? Watch this. Don't say no yet. You're following me. Here we go.
Yeah, because I know y'all.
I'm going to give us a class, which is the label for it. That's all it is. You open quote and close it. We want to jump ahead right now, and at the end of this hello world, we want to close our box or close our div tag, okay? This basically says we're going to open the box here, we're going to put hello world inside of it, and we're going to close the box after it, okay? This is our div class. But now in order to make changes to the content sitting inside of here, we've got to give it a unique name, which is our class name, all right? And then that's how we address it inside of our CSS. So I'm just going to call this right here header title, all right? That's what we're going to call this, okay? And then I'm going to go, nothing should change here. Nothing should change yet. We need to go address things to hello world. We need to go give it some style, right? So we're going to go into our CSS, which applies style, right? And we're going to put a period. That stands for class, and we have to do it verbatim. So header dash title is how we open this, and then it closes, okay? So inside the header title, I'm going to say that I want this hello world to be right dead center in the middle of my screen. So we're just going to say text align center. Look at that. Look at this slide over right here. Slid over right there. And what if I wanted to say, I want my font size to be ginormous. Let's say font size, colon, and I'm going to say 44 pixels. So nice and big. Whoa, look at that bounce out. That's pretty incredible. Let's even go even crazier and say background dash color. We're going to give it some background color. You have to put a hashtag there, EA, EA, EA. And you can play around with all the different color codes. Look at that nice little gray that came in there. And let's give it some padding around it, right? Let's say padding, and let's give it some 40 pixel padding. So it's nice and big. Do you see how everything inside of this div class is being affected? What if I put something down below this div class? This is a sentence. And this would appear, look at this, this appears outside of my box that I built because it's outside of this div class. Do you see what I'm doing here? Outside of the div class sits my box, this is a sentence. And if I wanted this as a sentence, this little area right here, to do something else, to look different, I could assign a different box or a different divider, div class, right? That's all you're doing with div classes, okay? So how does that apply to WordPress? I'm going to switch over to Webtegrity's website. And I want you to see that everything inside of our website is coded in a different div class. So this orange tag up here at the very top, this is all sitting in its own div class to tell it to have an orange background. And then it switches over to the menu and it says have a blue background here. So the way you find those things out, if you're trying to troubleshoot or figure out what your author may have called that div class so that you can overwrite it, right? We're thinking ahead. I actually browse with Firefox. I've trained with you guys before on some of our other videos. I use their add-on, their free add-on called Firebug. So I can come in here and it's basically an inspect element. That's all it is. I'm going to go up here to this top line, and I'm going to see that this div class, look right here if you can, this div class is called top header container, okay? Top header container, and I'm going to move out of the way here for a second, because I want you to see that this says top header container in my style sheet. So this is our HTML side, This is our style sheet, our CSS file, and look at this. This little area right over here is our orange. So if we wanted to change that to our gray that we were just playing around with, we could say EA, EA, EA. And look at that, this top line up here just changed from orange to gray. That's how you go in and use the idea of div classes inside of your website. How cool is this, you guys? I have another video about the basics of CSS, and I will put the link in the, actually I'm going to put the link just right here for you, so you can click on that and go, again, get another perspective of what CSS is, how it affects your website. But this was more trying to understand specifically what a div class does and is. I'm going to give you one more link that you're going to be able to play around with. It is over on W3 Schools, all right? So you can go over to W3 Schools. I'll give you a little link in the description box below you can click on. I want you to come here, and I want you to click on this green box right here that says try it yourself. Because when you do, it's going to open up a screen very similar to what we were just playing with over on CodePen. But I want you to see that the div classes that are assigned here are unique in some ways. You've probably seen this one before. The P means paragraph. That's actually, in a sense, a div class. It's just one of those that always exists. So it doesn't have to have the word div in front of it, right? The word body is another one. This says the entire body of our website. It has an open and a close, just like the paragraph has an open paragraph here and a closed paragraph. In a sense, these are kind of like div classes. You've probably seen them also with the H3 or H1, the header tags, right? We're putting it kind of in bookends or in the open box and we close the box, all right? Same concept completely with using a div class here. And you can play around with some of these things, see the results immediately right over here. How cool is this, you guys? I hope you're nerding out with me. And
I seriously nerd out on some of this stuff. All right. Does that help anybody or does that confuse us further? Do we have questions?
No.
What are we thinking?
No, but I know.
Yeah.
Pero,
You already know all this stuff. Yeah. Anybody else have questions that maybe didn't know what this was? Is it helping make sense a little bit of how to go in and edit some things?
It's a lot easier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a kind of question.
All right.
Basically, like if you buy a WordPress template, then you go in there and you figure out what you want to change, right?
There you go. So a lot of templates will give you theme options area that you can go in and change colors pretty easily. It depends on the author and how kind they are to us. But a lot of them have, especially premium plugins that you pay, or themes that you pay for versus the free ones. They'll give you almost option overload, where you really have opportunities to change font size and change typography and all sorts of stuff in what we call kind of a WYSIWYG environment, a what you see is what you get environment, right? But there are still some things sometimes that an author doesn't give you access to. Yeah. So you can overwrite those things if you know a little bit of nerd code and you're able to go in and go to the style sheet and address those div classes and kind of put in your own style and overwrite them. That's the purpose of this video, to try to help us understand a little bit more clearly on how we can kind of drive our theme ourselves and not always depend on an author to do everything for us. That makes sense? Yeah. So every website out there that is built using HTML and CSS use div classes. So they'll either use something called a div class or a div ID. And very typically it's div classes all the way down the page. So that's how you set things to be left aligned or right aligned or have the white background or whatever it is. It's all set with nerd code behind the scenes.
Right, and that's been being used for a long time, right?
A long time, yeah. So we started out originally with just HTML, and then the epiphany of style sheets came into play, and then the epiphany of WordPress happened in 2005. Right, you guys? 2005 was WordPress?
So.
And that was when they decided to partner HTML and CSS. HTML gives us structure, right? It kind of puts things down the page and tells things where to go. Our div classes, we put everything in boxes. That's HTML. CSS gives us style and the fancy and the pretty, all right? Then WordPress partnered that with the dynamic capabilities of a database, an Excel spreadsheet. Put that all together and said, this is WordPress. We're going to let all three of them speak together and become dynamic. And they created the content management system. Right.
That's right now is HTML5 and CSS 3.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Of course. Yes, it is. Yes.
But not all the time.
Look at you go,
they
buddy.
mixed one with the other.
Yeah, so for those of you listening on Periscope, Betty just told us we're at HTML5 and CSS3 now. So you can give her some love and some hearts for that. Way to go. Way to go. All right. So any questions at all? Any further on div classes? Do you have ideas of how you could use that tonight when you go home and kind of look at the nerd code behind the scenes in your website? You could use your inspect element on your website right now. Right mouse click, do an inspect element, and look at something on your website and see what the author coded it to be. And then say, okay, I'm going to go play around with that name that they used. I'm going to go into my custom CSS box and overwrite what they're doing. Okay? All right? So how many of you, moving on to the next topic, how many of you already updated your website to 4.3, Billy? 1, 2?
Automatically.
Yeah? Okay.
My
What
site-
hosting service do you
my
use?
hosting-
Bluehost.
my
Bluehost.
hosting
Bluehost already did it. Why do you think they do that?
Security.
Security. Hands down, right? So the rest of us that haven't necessarily updated to 4.3, what are we running? Does anybody know what version WordPress y'all are on?
1.0.
Oh no, not 1 point something. No, no, no. What are we thinking? What are we running? Y'all can open up your dashboards if you have your computers with you. Open up your dashboards, go to your dashboard area. There should be a box there that says what version you're using of WordPress. Or there could even be an alert up at the top telling you hurry up and update already. All right? Who are, for those of you that have already watched this video, and for those of you on Periscope right now, what does every major WordPress release, what do they name them after?
Jazz singers.
Jazz singers, celebrity jazz singers. Way to go, y'all. Thus, Billy is probably named after who? Billie Holiday. Nicely done. So they also do major releases with BuddyPress. Does anybody run a BuddyPress website? BuddyPress is the equivalent of a forum, or their version of what they wanted Facebook to be for WordPress. It's a forum called BuddyPress. Every major release that they do, they name them after famous pizza joints. I don't know, it's random. But a little bit of random knowledge there for y'all. All right.
Is BuddyPress something different than WordPress, or it's part of, you can use it with WordPress?
Great question. It is, you can use it with WordPress. It does not stand alone, but it's kind of like if you've ever used WooCommerce, which is the plugin that gives you a shopping cart for WordPress. BuddyPress is kind of the big, huge system or plugin that could work on your website to run a whole forum area.
That's what I was actually going to ask about today when I got here.
A forum?
Yeah.
BuddyPress. Check it out. It's really cool. And there's a lot to setting it up, but there are already templates that have it in place. So if you can get you a template like that, you're going to save yourself a lot of headaches, a lot of time. But yeah, way to go. All right, so I'm going to run down here and let y'all see what the latest is with 4.3. When we're mentioning the reason why our hosting companies automatically make us do a core update, it is absolutely because of security risks. If you're running an older version of your website, you potentially have a wormhole for hackers. And I promise you, if you think they don't care about my website, they don't care, but they have robots that care, and those robots will crawl your site, and they will put Viagra ads all over your site, and they will put random comments all in your comment box, and they will put vulgar language all over your sites, and they will take all of your customer contact information from you, and they will start emailing those people. So when you hear that WordPress is not very safe, I wouldn't use WordPress, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Don't use WordPress unless you're updating it consistently. If you're updating it consistently, it's an incredible system to use. Open source, obviously, free to use. All right. So with the new 4.3, how many of y'all were at WordCamp this last January? Does everybody knows what WordCamp is? It's like a big deal for a bunch of us nerds to get together. Solely focused on WordPress. So we had our first ever WordCamp San Antonio this past January. And we thought we were going to have about 100 people. We ended up having almost 300. It was a phenomenal turnout. And we had tracks all day long. It was an all-day Saturday event where you were coming out and getting to hear speakers talk specifically about WordPress in different arenas, whether it was nerd code and you wanted to go more advanced, or whether it was social media using WordPress, or whether it was business. It was all sorts of really cool tracks. So we're planning the next one. we're thinking January-ish, the end part of January 2016. So keep some dates open there, a weekend, a Saturday open, and it'll be here again in San Antonio. They actually hold them all around the world. These events are typically $20 to attend for one day. That's it, and that includes your lunch and a free t-shirt. So you can't beat that. Come get training all day long. And networking like all get out. You guys bring your business cards with you, and there's opportunities like crazy to network. If there's a 2-day event that's held, they only charge $40. And the local people that put it on is just like this meetup group. It's always volunteer. So there's not one company that's profiting off of it. We simply all volunteer as an opportunity to give back to WordPress because of our core community. So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity. If y'all want to volunteer for it this upcoming January, let me know because we're already gathering volunteers for it as well. 4.3, every time you're updating, they're coming out with better security and they're coming out with cooler features. They kind of knocked this one out of the park. This last January, we had a speaker with us. His name is Konstantin Obinlin. Super tall guy, super tall. He is an automatician. He works for Automatic. And who knows what Automatic is? You know what?
Owner of WordPress.
The owner of WordPress.
I mean,
The company, the parent company in a sense, right? Because
like right now, ABC, no, Alphabet for Google. Alphabet is the parent company for Google and all their divisions.
All their little subsidiaries. Yeah. So we've got Automatic, which is basically the parent company for WordPress, and they have automaticians all around the world. And they come typically to these WordCamps, and we were really, really excited to see that we actually had 3 automaticians interested in traveling. They travel at their own expense. Their flights are, they pay for them themselves. They pay for their own hotels just to come to these things and help the community. So it's a really cool idea. But Konstantin, the guy that came here that we got to meet, is actually the lead on this Billy release. So he and his little team really knocked this one out of the park. Let's give it a watch and let you see what's brand new. I'm going to do a bonus video this week because Billy 4.3 is out. And if you have not updated your WordPress yet, you really need to take a moment, be sure you have a backup in place, right, before you click update. And then go ahead and click update. And let's get into some goodies that you're going to have access to now with the new 4.3. Did y'all know that every major release that WordPress puts out, publishes, is named after a famous jazz singer? Yeah. So
someone told me that.
This one was named after a holiday. So I'll put the link to this awesome review about the whole new version of WordPress. This kind of gives you a breakdown even further. But I'm going to walk you through a couple of my favorite brand new things that they've done. I also want to make mention that this whole development project was led by Konstantin Obinlin, who you guys know if you were here at San Antonio WordCamp this past January. He was one of our speakers that traveled to hang out here with us for that day, and he was a fantastic, super tall guy, super smart guy. And you're going to see some of his efforts and his team's efforts right here today. So I'm going to post, this could happen in a post or a page. If you're doing some editing and you're wanting to type out some things and maybe do a header 2 inside of your website, sometimes you would have to do this. This would be a header 2. Typically we would have to stop for a second, highlight it, go up here, choose a header 2, right? So that the nerd code would be written by WordPress. Well, now they've made it much easier for us to kind of skip down through things and say this would be our header 2. And we enter down and look at that, you guys. So what I did was I used 2 hashtags to tell it to be a header 2. Let's do 3 for right now, 3. This would be 3, enter down, and that would give us our header 3. I'm going to switch over to the nerd code mode so that you can see that it's header 2, header 3. It automatically knew what we were doing by using those hashtags now inside of 4.3. How groovy cool is that? And it will actually let you do that from 2 to 6 on your header tags. It won't let us do a header 1 with one single hashtag, and that's because typically an author will allow the title of your post to be in place of your header 1. Does that make sense? All right, what else is cool for us in formatting our page really quickly and easily? Now if we were to start typing a list, we no longer have to go up and click that little icon up here. Now we can just simply type a 1 and click enter, and it's going to allow us to have our list to here,
here.
You'd think they would have done this
How
a long
cool is
time
this,
ago.
you guys? And then what if we wanted to have a bullet
Microsoft Word
list?
20,
We can actually use
2007
the
or
asterisk
something.
and say
Yes.
this is a bullet list. What craziness, right? So exciting. And they gave us one other fun one. If we were to do an angle bracket, again, all of this has to take place in the visual mode, right? We can't do this in the text mode. This will be in the visual mode. If we were to do an angle bracket, this is a block quote. And enter down. Now right here, it doesn't look like it changed much except for it did indent. But once, let me move out of the way, once we go preview it on the front side of our website, depending upon what your author does for your block quotes, it could sit out like this. This is a block quote. See the little line that's here, a little bit of a larger font. Some of our authors and your themes will give it even a different background color and really make this block quote stand out and be beautiful down your page. How fun is this, you guys? Awesome, awesome moving forward with great formatting for our experience in the visual mode. So some other things that they did inside this update is they allowed us to have, if we go into the customize area, they allowed us to do a favicon or favicon. So up at the very top of your browser, let me move this down for a second so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. See right up here, whenever you have a page title, you want to have this little icon next to it so that if somebody were to bookmark your website, either on their desktop here or even on their cell phone, this little fav icon actually pops into their screen and becomes part of the bookmark, right? So the way you do that now is site identity, and then right here you can select your file, you can go into your media library, click select. It's going to help you kind of resize things. It's going to show you what it would look like on a cell phone. It's going to show you what it would look like on a desktop or a laptop. And we're going to go ahead and say, crop our image down, and we're done. And now it's going to be appearing up here. How nice is that, you guys? Normally, that would have taken a plugin to do that. Or if you knew how to write some nerd code, you could have gone into your header file and gone ahead and addressed it that way. But this just makes it so much more easy. And this is another instance where WordPress is thinking more and more about mobile users, because really, truly, this is what you want to see. You want to have the ability to have a little icon appear on their cell phone, you know, basically like you would on any cell phone whenever you have, you know, something sitting there. Here, if you can see it, you know, your little icon that sits there. How do you actually get that? This is where that pulls from. So nice for them to include that in there. I love it. And then some other things they did was really, really intelligent as well for our password security. So now when we go to add a new user, WordPress is automatically going to generate a password for us. We no longer have to toy with trying to create some really strenuous, long, crazy, strong password. And we certainly don't have to worry about our clients or our any of our users using our website generating some generic sort of password that would allow some sort of wormhole for hacking, right? So really, really thinking ahead for stronger security. That's something that they implemented here. And look how long that is. Isn't that crazy? So if you can't remember that, and you probably wouldn't be able to, you still have the ability to come in and change your own password. However, it's really going to hold you to trying to create something that was very, very difficult for hackers to be able to get into. Makes sense, doesn't it? And so super exciting. All right, again, I'm going to put the link to this whole awesome tutorial here of everything, because I've just kind of touched on some of the things that they've done for you. You're going to walk through some of the other really cool...
There's some other updates that they've done to the admin bar and some other things like that. So those of you that have not yet updated to 4.3, do not click update until you know for a fact that you have a backup in place. I don't want you to just have a backup of your pages. I need you to be sure that your hosting company has a backup of your entire database in place. And the next question you need to ask your hosting company is, how much are you going to charge me to set it back? All right? Because a lot of hosting companies will tell you, yes, we back up your website every 24 hours, no problem, and that's a free service to you. But if you ever have to roll it back, we charge you $350 to roll it back. So just be sure that you're connected with your hosting company, asking them, how often do you back up my website? Where do I access those files? What's the process in restoring my website in case anything breaks? Because very typically, whenever we go to make a major update like this on our WordPress website, breaks can occur. If a theme that we're using is really old, that author did not code for these new fancy things that WordPress is doing, so there could be a break there. If we're using a plugin that hasn't been updated as well, we could see that break happen in a plugin. So you always want to be up to date, but before you click that up to date button, please be sure that you have a backup in place. Yusuf shared with us a while back a plugin called Updraft Plus. If you want to write that down, it is a free backup and restore plugin. It's fantastic. If your hosting company does not currently have that set in place for you and they want to charge you for that, go ahead and look at Updraft Plus. Again, it's a free plugin. It's free to back up your website. It's free to restore your website. And it literally works in just a couple of clicks and you're back up and running.
Backup Plus?
Updraft Plus. Really highly recommend it. We've used it and it's saved our tush many times. All right. Any questions whatsoever about backing up your WordPress website and updating your WordPress website? Yes?
One of the things I noticed when it automatically updated mine, I was scared that that was going to break something.
Sure. So WordPress has actually been trying to roll out pushes, and they've been trying to push hosting companies to regulate updates. I'm actually against that because I do see a domino effect take place where breaks could occur, and if you're not consistently monitoring your website, or if you happen to have an email come from your hosting company that says, hey, we just updated your website for you, and you don't have time to go check everything really quickly on your website literally could be down. And it is alarming to think that hosting companies want to do that for you. Their purpose and their thinking, they want to help you, and they want to secure the site as quickly as possible and be sure that it's up to date. Unfortunately, though, you really have to monitor that. So if you have that set in place with your hosting company, just be sure to watch for those email alerts that come through and do your darndest to get over there quickly to your website, run a couple of tests on it, and be sure that your forms still work, that your shopping cart still works, or whatever it is on your website that is your point of contact absolutely works. Great point. Great point. Anything else? Y'all are a quiet group tonight. It's all right, though. All right. So this is pretty much how we handle WordPress Wednesdays. It's always the last Wednesday of the month. And then from here on out, it's kind of just a free-for-all. We can all open up our WordPress websites and start talking shop. We can ask questions. We can wrangle back in Yusuf in here. Betty is one of our all-time all-stars of being here all the time, so she can answer questions as well. And she always knows the latest and greatest free. That's her budget. She knows what's best in the free department. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. What's up?
No, I have to show you why.
Okay.
Contact form is not taking my email.
Okay, it's not, your contact form is not taking your email?
Sometimes it's not the contact form. Sometimes it could be the the POP and IMAP sending server issue. It could be a server. You have to call the hosting provider. Sometimes that's the issue.
It could be a plugin
It could
conflict.
be the plugin conflict. Yes.
If you
Because I translate
yeah,
the original
yeah,
to one language to another one.
okay,
And maybe, but I know that I went between the stuff and I changed everything that I know that no problem, but
sure,
now I cannot enter it.
okay,
There was another situation with my client where there's a contact form. Actually, it was a gravity form that if they submit on the website, I get the email, my developer gets the email, only he doesn't get it. When I send the email directly, he gets it.
yeah,
It's like a mysterious. We still have to figure out what's going on.
sure,
So we're talking to the hosting provider. I don't know. So
sure.
sometimes it's just like challenging.
So yeah, we'll absolutely look at that. So Yusuf's back in the house now, so if we have any questions about things, is there anything that you think your question is generic enough to present right now to the whole class, or do you want us to look directly at your project? What are we thinking? Generic enough? We can ask the whole class? Raise your hand now and let's ask. What are we thinking?
Don't feel shy. I mean, you guys here to learn, so just ask. I mean, nobody's gonna mind.
When you change using
Firefox?
when you change the gray color like you did with green to gray, how you save it? How are you sure that stay there?
Yeah, great question. So for those of you on Periscope, what she's asking is, you saw me use the Firebug tool inside of Firefox. So that's the browser I browse with. Firefox has an add-on up in the top right-hand corner that you can get. I'm not on my computer. That you can get that has the icon for you to basically do an inspect element. Is really all that tool is. So you can do it inside of Chrome by right mouse clicking and doing an inspect element. But all that's doing though is helping you kind of troubleshoot and see what the author originally coded it to be. Really, it's just kind of an inspecting. You're just inspecting and you're tinkering to see, okay, is this one line actually affecting this space? Once you do that, you have to go into the style sheet itself. You log back into your website and go into a custom CSS box, right? Or we're using a child theme, right? And that's where you make those changes finally take place.
That meaning Fireback only help you to pinpoint where is it going.
That's exactly right.
Or what you want to change.
That's exactly right. It's just kind of an inspect tool to pinpoint where you need to go, make the change absolute behind the scenes.
Like they inspect on Google Chrome.
That's exactly right.
Oh.
Yep. Yes?
Is the best way to customize the code, is it to do it from the editor or to do it in a text editor?
Okay, so a text editor outside of WordPress versus inside of WordPress.
Yeah.
So the question is it better to open up your dashboard and cowboy code? That's what we call that. Whenever you're tinkering in a live environment, your website is live, and you're going into the CSS or into the PHP files in that editor mode. We call that the no-no zone. Yeah. For people that don't understand code, we need to stay out of it because we can certainly break our website very, very quickly. But the question is, should we take that file, per se, and put it over into a text editor, do some editing there? Or should we cowboy code right there on the spot? What do I do or what should we do? Okay, so best practice is absolutely to copy exactly what you just opened up and throw it over in a text file and save it somewhere that you remember where it was. And then you can tinker in the live environment if you'd like. But you always run the risk of clicking save and breaking your website and then having to scramble and go figure out what am I doing, right? So best case scenario is to have a staging environment, have a duplicate of your website running. GoDaddy has that right now for you where you're able to have a staging environment. WP Engine does it as well where you're able to literally in one click, it clones your entire website for you and gives you a playground.
Is that the FTP? Did they automate FTP?
Yeah, so same idea as what WordPress does. WordPress has automated the FTP experience, so we're not having to go upload our files, right? It all has that internal directly to our server. So what it's allowed us to do is literally just have a duplicate of your website. So now if you want to go in there in cowboy code, you can tinker around. When you've built exactly what you love, you just click one more button and it takes your staging, your playground, and overwrites your live site. It literally moments, depending upon how large your website is, but moments and your new playground that you've been playing and making all your updates and changes on has overridden your live site. Yes?
What is that called?
So, excuse me, it's called a staging site. Excuse me. I got a frog in my throat. A staging site. So, GoDaddy allows you to have it. WP Engine allows you to have it. Obviously, they're premium hosting, so you should expect something like that. GoDaddy on their $6 a month package. What you're looking for, if you're looking for hosting right now with GoDaddy, would be something they call managed WordPress hosting. $6 a month, and they give you that staging environment, that one-click environment where you can have a playground. Highly recommend it. Yusuf, you're such a servant at heart. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Basically, he doesn't want Periscope to be interrupted. As I'm gagging. I'm just kidding.
Here's the thing, real quick. Just make sure that whatever you're working on is on a child theme.
Oh, yeah.
So, fantastic point. So to that, if you are making changes inside of your PHP files or your CSS files, you absolutely want to be sure that you have some sort of a child theme in place. If you don't know what I'm saying right now, and that sounds absolutely foreign, we have some YouTube videos that teach all about what a child theme is and when you actually need one and when you don't. Because not every scenario requires that you have one, but like Yusuf is saying, if you're going in there and playing around in the style sheet or in the PHP files, you absolutely want to have a backup in place. Yes, sir?
Is that a way to back it up before you update?
In a sense, that staging site absolutely could be used for something like that, because you could take your live environment and clone it, copy it to your playground, then do your update in your live environment, and if it's fine, it's fine. If not, you can do a restore. Vice versa. You can have your staging environment and do your update on it and make sure everything's working perfectly so that nothing's messing up in your live environment. If this works perfectly, then you can click go live. And it'll update everything for you. It's seamless.
In addition to what Corey said, the Updraft Plus plugin has the feature of cloning. So you just click and it can take it to different domain, different whatever, and you can start playing from there too.
So you can clone it, put it on a subdomain, and tinker around and play. Yes?
I have not seen anyone mention I've been tinkering with this for a year, how to see what's in the SQL.
So you would actually have to, so she's asking how you would actually access your database itself and go into, so you would go in your PHP admin area and go access your database there. It's nothing at all inside of WordPress. It's completely sitting over in your hosting company environment, and that's where your MySQL database sits.
And it's long.
Very long.
Yeah, so you would go in there and that's where you would access your tables and all of your content that sits there, and you would have to understand how to speak database. Total nerd lingo.
It was
It's big time nerd lingo.
Yeah, I just haven't seen anyone talk about going back there. Maybe because most people are interested in accessing.
It's extremely rare that you ever would have to, first of all. So for those of you that are total beginners, please do not freak out that you would ever have to do that. In building these for 7 years now, I've personally never, I have had some of my developers have to go in and access certain tables and pull out certain content on large projects.
But you have to know
But
very well.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to be a PHP.
Yes, if you mess up one thing, you're going to destroy the database.
That's right. That's right. What other questions can we talk about right now as a whole class? And then we'll stop and do some one-on-ones with people.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you talk about this staging environment and when you update to the new version,
Yes.
that area is also updated, so you cannot use that as a backup.
You could use absolutely, to the same thing that you were saying, you could use your staging environment as a backup, as long as that's the most recent version of what you've been tinkering with, right? Does that make sense? Absolutely. I've actually done that using WP Engine's hosting before. Even though they have a really great system for backup, the staging and cloning environment is just in your dashboard. You don't have to go log into WP Engine. It's actually sitting there in your dashboard. It's one extra tab that you go to inside your dashboard, and there's your cloning site right there, your playground. So it's so fast to just, I just broke this whole website. I'm going to go click, and you're back up and running, right? You just need to be sure that that is the most recent version of your website, though. But it's a great way to do that. Sure?
If you're going to use that as a backup, how long does it last?
It's always there. But it's there since the last time you clicked clone. Does that make sense? So if you're a blogger and you've been blogging a whole lot and you blog maybe 15 new articles, that's not on your staging site anymore because it's not a mirror. You have to clone it and it sits over there, and then you'd have to clone it again and it sits over there, if that makes sense. So it's not a perfect synchronized system. Yeah, it's like a push. Yes. Yeah. What else? Anybody have a brain cramp yet and say forget WordPress? If you need to hire somebody, there's Yusuf.
No,
there you go.
No, there's Corey.
What child theme plugin is the best one to use?
Great question. So for Periscope, what child theme plugin is the best to use? There actually is a really fantastic child theme plugin that I promoted on. Do you know one off the top of your head? Because I promoted one on a YouTube video.
I don't remember.
It was spectacular. Just look for custom child theme.
Custom child theme. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh, custom
what
child
was
theme.
it?
Custom child theme.
Child Themify. That's exactly what it was.
Click.
One click, and you can actually designate what files you want it to duplicate for you too. That's what I loved about it, because it doesn't clone everything where you feel really cluttered. If you only need to make a change in your header file, you can just clone the one single file itself and go in, and it gives you a duplicate version of your header file so you can tinker with that. It's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
And that's also remind everyone, if you use a free theme or premium theme as it is, you don't have to worry about the child theme. Does that make sense? If you bought this out of the box, all I did I put the logos, I put the content, I haven't changed anything, it should be okay. Does that make sense? We use child theme because a lot of us, especially Corey, we do custom build. We design, we customize it. That's why we use child theme. So, but you don't have to worry about it. Does that make sense? Unless like Betty, she's also a developer. She likes to, mess with
child theme
configurator. Okay.
So that's what it's for.
So another one is child theme configurator.
Yes.
There's another plugin.
So this is only for people that want to customize like 100%. So, but if you're gonna use some of the themes are very nice as it is. You know, you can because what happened, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Corey, on this one. A lot of businesses when they start a website, they focus too much on the cosmetics.
Yeah.
They don't focus on. I want to make sure that when the customer comes to my website, it's very easy. They can find what they need. They find the information, and I'm gonna focus on traffic and conversion. Then when I make enough money, then I'm gonna go back and start, make it. I mean, don't make it look ugly, but at least just basic, like nice, easy on the eye, basic, concept. Smooth, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about. I mean, if you have a budget, yeah, sure, send it to us. I mean, Corey can, make like an awesome, like a Mercedes-Benz style, website. But for beginner, don't worry about the cosmetic at the beginning.
Yeah.
Focus on, and this is another topic, maybe.
Come here and get on camera.
No, I don't want to be on the
They're
camera.
wondering
I'm
where
shy.
you are.
I'm very
Alexander, can you hear
shy.
you?
I'm very shy. Okay, so.
There you go.
So the thing is, we need to talk about this maybe in next class. The UX, the user experience. A lot of web developers or web Meetup, they never talk about the user experience. Like how we are going to make the customer feel comfortable when they come to our website. What kind of call to action we need to give it to them, right? Those are very important. They sound very simple. They sound very basic, but most businesses don't talk about it. Like you have the same situation. You sit with the business owner. So what do you have from our website? I don't know. So what do you want the customer to do? I don't know. Okay, then why? You know what? Don't need the website. Go back. do something else. So we need to understand when somebody visit our website, where do we want them to go? Where do we want them to click? And just give them what they need easily. Don't make it too complicated. You know what I'm saying?
You really don't have to use also a child theme unless you're making changes to your PHP files. Because if you do want to tinker with the CSS, a lot of authors will give you a custom CSS box inside of the theme. Or you can just do a simple plugin for a custom CSS box. And you can make changes if you want to some of the style. But you really, really do not need a child theme unless you're making changes to PHP files.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Changes.
So we don't need to worry about it. That's right.
And if you want to learn coding, Wayne, he does WordPress only in coding. And the cool thing about him, he simplifies it. That means if you think coding is hard, you're going to enjoy his class.
That's Monday night coming up.
This Monday the 31st,
For a plugin.
Yeah, because he makes it, the way he explains it, he makes it very simple. If you want to, I know Bernadette, you are a developer as well. You want to learn how to, here's the benefit of learning how to build a plugin. You can build your own plugin for any functionalities and sell it in ThemeForest. Or be a specialist like, you guys remember what's his name? From WooCommerce. Espinoza.
I don't know.
He used to be here in San Antonio. Awesome guy. Espinoza's last name. He's a specialist. He builds plugins.
Espinosa?
His last name, I think, is Espinoza, right? I forgot his first name.
But there are two Espinosa.
So he builds plugins.
Just two.
Only two.
Only two.
That's good.
But the cool thing about him, he actually built a platform, but he also builds plugins for clients.
Yeah.
And he makes
good money.
Good money because he specializes in that area.
Yeah.
You need to know PHP for a plugin.
Yes.
Me, I don't know. I'm just gonna hire smart people like somebody else.
Like Wayne.
Yeah, do the
Like
work.
Wayne.
Yeah, just pay them.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We just pay Wayne.
We just pay them. Yeah, we don't have time for that. We gotta have fun.
What else? What other questions?
When you save the data, I did it in the email, and SiteGround told me it's full. You have to match your allo.
The space. Whatever package you pick, it got overfull.
Instead because Updraft update several times per day, I go and enter in my email and I delete one like yesterday. Okay, today I delete, tomorrow I keep in case that I need to.
Yeah, that has nothing got to do with. That's just basically the space. That's just a space on your whatever the package you got, and because the email was piling up in your back end of the website, of course it's going to use up the space. That's what they're telling you. You need to clear it up or increase. Yeah, that's why I never do daily backup.
Where you keep the backup?
Just outside, not in the server. You send it to like a Gmail or somewhere else.
And you certainly don't need to keep all of your backups, right? You might want to keep like the last 7 days or the last 7 backups. You certainly don't need to keep a library of.
Because when you do the actual backup, that's in the server.
Yeah.
Not the email going out. Does that make sense? I recommend do like once a month. That's it. Not daily.
I'll show you my email.
Yeah.
I don't know which one delete.
Depends on how often you're changing.
Yeah,
the
because
content.
that's
Depends
another
on
thing.
how many mistakes you make and how many times you need to back up, right?
Well,
I
like
hear
you said,
that.
if you're
Yeah.
blogging 5 times a day,
Then,
You're right.
maybe every other day or
I'm
every
not
day.
blocked.
Great point.
They don't need it then every day.
All right. Okay.
Once a year.
So let's do this. Let's do this. For the next 20 or 30 minutes, Yusuf and I are going to hang out here
Yeah.
for a little bit. And if y'all need some one-on-one, raise your hand, holler, pick on us that are a little bit
Yeah.
more advanced. Betty is awesome, and she will help you out. Bernadette, any of us that have been here a while, please
And ask any question too,
feel
anything.
free as well to help people. Y'all know stuff, all right?
Okay.
Don't leave without getting some answers tonight, because that's what we're here for.
Okay.
Thank you.
If y'all have any question on WordPress update, now is the time to ask. Let me know. I'll be here.
Way to go, Yusuf.
Nobody else.
You guys give a shout out to Yusuf tonight on Twitter if you would, please. He does all this stuff all the time for free.
I will show
All right, folks.
How did you do this?
What do you mean? This is I just bought this
Oh,
thing
you still got it going.
from Amazon. Yeah, I bought it. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. You can go back and play the replay. Tons of awesome information. So we'll see you next time.